Hello and welcome to one of the first 2023 releases here on Rauta. Past few days are more or less spent with 2022 releases, so time to present you something very fresh from the oven. This is Konvolted with international lineup and human... Can you see it? Human Reification. This is, it seems, the debut album of this international lineup. 5 different nationalities along 5 different members, and this one is a self-financed release. I don't want to be mean, but I'll put it this way. There's a reason why this album is self-financed. Having 44 minutes or so of music, this album with an old man on the cover, don't know what kind of a story he has to tell, isn't exactly a good album. On the contrary, this one is actually very hard to like, and I'll try to tell you why so. But first, let's give this bullet a go. One of the very few for the next few months when I don't have access to a lot of physical albums, so you will be mostly seeing me just doing digital focus. Here is the 5-man lineup. These are all from different countries. Countries are like Poland, Finland, etc. So it's an interesting thing how they ended up doing this. Actually, one of the members I think is from Germany, and that's where the address of the band points. But international nonetheless. Here it's mentioned Ukraine also, Italy, Poland, Finland, Germany. So yeah, and even some guest vocalists doing a little bit of featuring on this album. Now, because I'm filming this on December, you don't really see here on the band's Bandcamp site the new album, except for the mention that it's out on 15th of January, which is kind of curious because, should my memory serve me well, it's Sunday. Who releases new music on Sunday? Maybe the ones that go on digital and doesn't really matter. Anyhow, here it is, and before this full album, there are a couple of previous releases, and I think Mockery and Feed, yes, very much. There are single songs on this album, so these are just teasers what there is to come. Now, this band is a curious case because, first of all, it doesn't fall directly into any given genre box, but it definitely has some characteristics which then again puts it towards some of the frames, so to say, to describe the music. If I had to use one genre only, I would say this is groove metal. And while I consider groove metal very much like a son of thrash metal, or very much like a subgenre, basically, of it, there's a little bit difference, however, which I'm not too happy about, but I guess this is why it comes into play. This is not exactly very trashy, but it definitely has some kind of a groove metal stuff going on. And one of them is the kind of a Pantera-like elements, which are very much on the top of the game here. Partially because of the vocalist sounds like a budget version of Phil Anselmo. I mean, he's kind of aggressive and kind of energetic, but let's be frank about it. Nowhere near the talent and charisma of Phil Anselmo. You might not like the man, you might not like even his voice, but if you don't, maybe this is even less your type of stuff. Now, to the bigger problem, and this is not like I'm saying like the vocalist is a problem, but he could be a lot better. Let's be honest about it. But the main problem is not the vocalist. It's actually the songwriting and the production. The songwriting is made very simple riffs, of which some are just quite okay and some are like feeling like stupid or more like very boring. The thing here is, it's more like about this kind of a chuggy guitars, like dun dun dun. Okay, I get it. You're just kind of like a teenage band coming from a high school basement, and this is your very first band. That's how this album feels like, as if you are first timers in a metal genre, which doesn't really seem to be the case here. I don't know if it's because of this lineup is all just spread out in various countries or whatever, but it seems like this is just random pieces put together, having a lot of kind of boring riffs or even annoying ones. And there's no kind of energetic flow with the album. I was hardly like halfway through with the initial spin and I was already like, please stop, this isn't good. And there is no savior in the end. There is no single track that like, okay, but at least this and that song is good or are good. There are none good songs. It's almost like 44 minutes. I'm like wasting my time and kind of a hope that I never got this for review. Don't get me wrong, it's not super bad, but it's more on the bad than good side. So less than mediocrity in my books. On top of that, the production is very, very weak. It's very much like a rehearsal room thing. Now, this kind of a production could have been okay back in the 80s and 90s when people didn't have the budget, people didn't have access to good equipment, and there was no computers to help as such with recording process. But nowadays, when you can just, I don't know, emulate a lot of different kind of amplifiers and different kind of equipment, starting with pedals and whatever, I don't know how this kind of a guitar sound, or overall sound for that matter, it's not like the drums are great either, but at least they're, digestible. But the guitar sound is more like, how come you let out this kind of stuff that sounds more like you just use some kind of a rehearsal room guitars and you don't even put an effort to it. They sound weak and dickless. I mean, it's like there's no balls in this kind of production. It sounds like this is a demo rehearsal version, like some kind of a pre-production version of an album, really. And you decided to go all in, like this is the album. No, this really does, I think, answer the question why this is self-financed, because probably no album labels were not interested in this. I mean, first of all, this sounds like a demo recording, and the genre is somewhat challenging. I mean, even in black metal, you can go pretty much with some kind of a bedroom black metal recordings, and there are always labels like, okay, we're gonna release it. But when it comes to groove and thrash metal genres, you really have to have those nails and tools and, I don't know, some kind of a steel padding, an armor, a weapon, a sword or something. And this sounds like you have a half-rotten wooden club and you're like, hey, this is my warrior tool. It's not gonna cut it. So overall, this is mostly a boring, somewhat annoying, and I don't know, uncharismatic album in the groove metal territory, and I find it unbearable for many, many parts. It's not super bad, like said, but more like 4 out of 10. So I hope the next time the guys will be doing a lot of demoing, will be using a way better production, and more importantly, solid songwriting. If the songs were good, I wouldn't even bitch so much about production. I would say, like, it's only a shame that they have this kind of a production. But now everything is, like, hurting a little bit more. So it's like hurt over hurt over hurt. So in the end, the vocalist is not the worst part. It's maybe even the best part. And even that needs some kind of improvement. So here we have Konvolted with Human Reification. Check it out if you're a big fan of groove metal. And if not, I cannot really recommend it. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Reviews coming your way.